Okay, there we are. We ought to be recording. It shows we are.
Welcome, Dale. We're happy to have you with us. Looks like we have a few people who have joined since we said a shout out. So Carmen, glad to have you with us. David Kimball, happy to have you. Governor George, happy to have you. Past Governor Hans Peter, welcome.
Well, maybe he's in George's.
Hi, Dick.
We're not that.
Hi, Dick Jones, welcome.
Good evening.
Come on.
Yeah, I just got to tease the governor a little bit. Okay, I've got 7 o'clock up, so it's my job tonight to welcome you to the seminar, and we're just really excited. I think we put some great things together, and the first thing we're going to be talking about, well, first, Sherry, go back to that other slide, because you want to talk a little bit about, you were going to, the second slide, that slide, correct. Sherry's going to share with us a little bit about the audio.
So actually, I skipped over the slide because the Zoom control panel looks a little bit differently now. They've upgraded the software. But if any of you are having difficulty with audio, if you go to the More section of your panel, this More with the 3 dots, and you click there, you'll get a drop down, and one of them is audio options. If you click on audio options, that will give you the chance to select either phone call connected or computer audio. So I know some of you come in on the computer but use your phone for the audio, or prefer to use the computer audio. If either of those are not working for you, that's the magic to get it switched over. So again, it's the More 3 dot drop down to audio options, and then choose one of the 2 options, phone call or computer audio. From there, it appears that it works well, but if somebody has trouble, send us a chat or raise your hand, and we'll do our best to help you, because we want you all to be able to speak when you want to. As we said before we started, most of you are muted when you come in, and we can unmute you easily, but we just need you to raise your hand or send over a chat that lets us know that you have something you'd like to add. And so with that, Kelly, I will pass it back to you.
Okay, let's bring up the membership chart. We're publishing these on a monthly basis. We get these published on the 3rd week of the month, and you can see the latest as of 3/20 where we're standing. This year we bifurcated the chart a little bit to create a little healthy competition between the 2 zones, and also give us a better feel of what's happening and where we need to work. And our snapshot right now is pretty good. You can see that we have a lot of green on this list, 5390, which I'm especially pleased with, Dick. And I don't know if we have anyone on here from 5390 other than Hewitt right now, but I'm really pleased with what's happening there. You can look at 5400, also 5440, 5450, 5630, and 5690 in zone 27. There's a total for 91. We're up 91 or 0.36 in zone 27 at this point. And then if we look at zones 21B, you can also look at some nice green numbers in 5730, 5790, 5810, 5840, 5870, and 5930, and they're up 32. Collectively in the district, in the paired zones, we're up 150 6 members, which is pretty nice. And from the start of the year, we're up 246. As you all know, these charts are online, and you can just go to the Zone website to draw these charts down. And for membership chairs that may be joining us tonight from clubs, all you need to do once you download the chart is click on your district number, and you can go in and see where your club may be at any time. So we really encourage you to refer to these charts frequently as a tool to use in order to assist you as you strive to improve membership. Even though we're up 247, we know that if you look at the individual district numbers, you need to be someplace in the range of where 5450 is to have a chance to stay in the positive as of July 1 of 2018. They're up 87. If you're up around 87, you've got a pretty good chance after cleanup to be in the positive. But if you're under 80, in my judgment and in my historical perspective of looking at these numbers for a number of years, you're probably going to end up someplace in the red after the clean out. So we just really encourage you to frequent these charts and work with your clubs in your districts to do everything you can do to assist them in order to get into the green before the end of the year. Sherry and I just want to say one thing about this, and the reason numbers are not the only thing that we're looking for. In fact, they're not the most important thing that we're looking for. It's just difficult. I'd like to be able to go through and have the time to go through and talk about the 11 members that we've lost from 5420 and name them individually. The reason we use charts and numbers is that we can quickly assess what's happening in a district, and we have an opportunity once we assess it to correct it. And so we recognize behind every one of these numbers is a story and a person. And we recognize that and want to stress that when you hear us talk about green and yellow and red clubs or districts, but we recognize behind that are Rotarians. And as we strive to do more good in the world, we need more people to assist us in those efforts, and that's what we're trying to do in a condensed period of time by showing and producing charts. Sherry, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd like to add a little perspective on the numbers where we are right now as of March 20th. I looked back to see where we were in March of last year, and collectively across the 22 districts that are represented on this chart, we were in the red. We were minus 35% overall, and this year in March we're up 0.54. So our trend this year is a bit better than it was last year, and that's really good news. That's kudos to those clubs that are working so hard at retaining their membership and building stronger membership. I want to make a special shout out once again to District 5730, because if you look across the 12 years, they had 11 consecutive reds, and they've been maintaining that green now for several months. So real shout out there. I know that you all worked hard in attaining some continuity and doing and using all the resources you possibly could last year to help prepare for turning that around and turning green this year. And we really appreciate that, and we're glad to see the results of the hard work that you've been putting in there. Turning membership around after an 11-year slide is not an easy task, so real shout out there. And I also want to comment on the state of Texas and how proud I am of District 5890. That is the Houston district. They're in the red. They're minus 47. Minus 47. But let me tell you, Harvey had a huge impact on that district, and all of the efforts have been in the area of service, and I think that I had the opportunity to go out and talk with them at one of their membership meetings this past month. It's a district on fire, and I think they have collectively come together to meet the needs of the community, and now we're going to start to see the results, if not turning that into at least a yellow this year. They even may be able to achieve a green, because the community at large has seen what Rotary can do, and the Rotarians have come together in such a good way. So just as Kelly said, it's not always just the numbers. Sometimes we have to look behind the numbers and see what's going on and say, hey, Holden at losing 47 in an area that lost so much is actually a success, and not to be looked down upon. So, and Charles Starnes, you are more than welcome for the kudos. You all earned them, and I know that you're going to work hard and that you're not going to stop. So Charles just sent that in the chat. So Kelly, with that, I'll turn it back to you until you're ready to turn it back to me.
That's right. So again, congratulations to all of you for the work that you're doing, and we just appreciate the great work that our district membership chairs are doing in conjunction with the district governors and their club membership chairs. And all we ask you to do is continue and let us know. Let Sherry, let me, let any of our assistant Rotary coordinators know how we can assist you and help you in your efforts, because we're confident with the quality of people that we have and with the tools that we now have in our toolbox, that we're going to see progress in the right direction as those tools are applied out in the local districts and clubs. So Sherry, with that, we're just going to turn the time back over to you, and you're going to deal with our topic for tonight.
Thanks so much. Before I move to that, I just want to make a shout out to Julie Aubrey, who has joined us. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining us once again.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I've been on since the beginning of the call, but my phone was having some issues, so I'm just redialing back in. Nice to hear the update on the membership figures, though. That's really exciting.
I think we should all be really excited, so thanks for that. Appreciate it. So we thank you all for joining us tonight. Tonight we have a topic that is of interest to all of us. And it was one of the topics that back in December, when we had an open meeting and talked about topics that you all might like to delve a little bit deeper into. And this one deals with building better friendships. And I thought it would be a good frame to get started for us to just look back at some research that Rotary International has done, and to see the results of that research. That research shows that members who leave after 1 and up to 10 years of membership, so been a member for 1 to 10 years, the primary reason they leave is because their fellowship expectations are not being met. So it is a very important topic, and kind of interesting for us to be able to share some of the ideas that clubs have been using successfully to use social interaction to strengthen their membership, either in recruitment or in retention. So tonight we have with us 2 panelists, both assistant Rotary coordinators. First one who will speak is Bob Dill from Norman, Oklahoma, and he'll share with us some of the ways that his club has been using social interaction. And then following Bob, we'll have Assistant Rotary Coordinator George Rucheski share with us some of the successful ways that they have used flexibility in meetings along with social interaction to build and strengthen their clubs. I think you'll find their ideas pretty interesting. And so with that note, I will turn it over to Bob, who's going to talk about breakfast, lunch, dinner, and buddies.
Well, thank you, Sherry. We're going to talk about food and a lot of other good things here for a few minutes. Fundamentally, we're just going to talk about social interaction and how it can help us build stronger clubs. And I'm going to tonight use my Rotary Club as an example of how social interaction can help us build stronger clubs. And so we're going to talk about some programs that we do in my club. They're called Breakfast Buddies, Lunch Buddies, Dinners for 8. We also do an annual picnic, and we have some occasional entertainment and sporting events. But as you can see, almost all of these involve some food or some drink or some matter of that kind. We like to get together and socialize and do that. I want to say at the beginning that we've done this in my club for quite a long time. And for a couple of years recently, we kind of let it slide. And coincidentally, membership in my club was shrinking. We shrunk from about 100 members down to 70. This year, we resuscitated these programs, and our membership is actually rebounding very nicely. I think last time I looked, we were back up to 86, and we're still growing. And in large measure, I think it's because of these things, these social interactions that we have that get our club members together. So I thought I'd just run through them and kind of give a highlight of how they work and what you need by way of resources in order to make them happen. In addition to what we do in my club, within my metro area here, there are 5 Rotary clubs, and so we also have social events that involve all 5 clubs at the same time. And we do that just in rotation. Each of the 5 clubs will put on an event and invite all the other clubs to come and share in that. That's usually an evening event. It's usually totally a social event. Usually involves some wine or beer or other spirits and some good food and a lot of good fellowship. On those group meetings like that, we'll usually attract around 50 Rotarians or so, which I think is pretty good for an evening event. The Breakfast Buddies, Lunch Buddies, and Dinners for 8 that we do within my club are a different deal, and I'm going to tell you how it works in my club. So as we were talking, my club is over 80 plus. So what we do in my club is we divide the club annually into 8 teams. If your club's smaller, you're going to use fewer teams. If your club's larger, then you might use more. The teams that we assign in our club annually have a lot of different functions, but one of the functions of the teams is to carry these social interaction functions forward throughout the year. So what we ask each of the teams to do in rotation is to have 4 breakfast or lunch buddies opportunities within their 6-week team period. So team 1 would try to have 4 lunch buddies, 4 breakfast buddies, or some combination of that during the 6 weeks that their team has responsibility for doing that. So in that way, we kind of broaden this across the entirety of the club. And then within each of the teams, we have individual team members who will be responsible in each case for finding the place, making the reservation or arrangement for wherever it's going to be, sending out the notices, making the announcements at club meetings, and so forth. So by doing that, we wind up over the course of a year in my club getting at least 32 different club members involved in creating an event and seeing it through to the end. Obviously, Breakfast Buddies is an event where we get together and eat breakfast and socialize. Lunch Buddies is an event where we get together and eat lunch and socialize. And of course, we do that in area restaurants. I suppose if you're in a town like my hometown where there's only one restaurant and it's not very good, this program is not going to work. But for most of our communities, it I think will work pretty well. So each of the events is organized by a team member, and it's a different one each time, and that's the way we wind up having the 32 members each year involved in organizing one of these events. When we do them, we encourage inviting guests, but we don't ever pressure the guests or push the guests with regard to membership. We just get together, we have fun, a lot of conversation, we take photos, we try to post them online, and the folks enjoy eating and visiting with each other. For the breakfast events out of my club of 80, we typically get 18 or so people who will attend one of those. Sometimes it'll be fewer, and sometimes it'll be more depending upon the time of year. When we get near holidays, we tend to get quite a few people. Lunch Buddies will get a few more at most of them, sometimes around 20, sometimes a few more than that. We do allow these events to also serve as a makeup, so there's an incentive for our club members to come. And at both of these, again, we encourage guests to be invited and to come join us and have fun with us during the course of these events. So in addition, we actually assign or give points for participation in these. So all of the club members who come and participate are earning points for their team, and we keep track of those, and we award these points to the teams, and those have other significance at the end of each year. It's a really pretty easy thing to organize. You really don't need any monetary resources for it because everyone pays their own way. You need a good organizer, one good organizer for the creation of the teams. And once you have the teams created, then each team is itself responsible for managing the 4 events that it's going to be responsible for during its team 6-week period. So in that regard, it doesn't take a lot of overhead from the standpoint of administration within the club to carry it out each year. So it's been working well for us, and as I said, the proof's kind of in the pudding. We resuscitated this program again this year, and our membership is going in the right direction and doing quite well. The Dinners for 8 is another one that's fairly easy to do. In that one, we don't use the teams as the basis for creating the Dinners for 8. As a resource, you do need one club member who's willing to devote the time to solicit information and create the team or create the groups. But we try to organize the club each quarter into small groups for dinners. Generally, these are groups of 4 or 5 members, so that with spouses and guests, you'll get a dinner group of 8 to 10 people in most cases, and that seems to be a number that's manageable. Then we ask each one of those dinner groups during that quarter that their group will be together to have at least 3 evening meals. Some want to do it in their homes and prepare the meals, and some do it as a potluck dinner and that kind of thing. It's flexible, and each group can pick its own way. When we assign those groups at the beginning, we do ask if people would prefer to eat in restaurants or to do it within their homes. And then we try to assign the groups based upon those preferences. So for the folks like me who like to eat out a lot, we get to go to a lot of different restaurants and enjoy that kind of arrangement. Again, within each one of those groups, one of the group members will be responsible, and it's a different one each time, will be responsible for scoping out the location, making the arrangements or the reservations, sending out the notices among the group, and reminding the group as we get closer to the event. Again, we encourage guests to come to those dinners. We do count that as a makeup as well, and teams get points for those. We try to take pictures and post those as well. So that's one that, quite honestly, my club really enjoys, and we get really good participation in that. It's rare for a group not to have all of their dinners in their quarter, and folks really enjoy getting together and doing it. The resource for that one, as I said, is just a club member with some good organizational sense who can get the team set up or the group set up on a quarterly basis, and it does take some communication with the club to get the input on whether they would prefer restaurants or home cooked meals, so to speak. Again, no funds are needed for that one because everybody pays their own way. Again, proof's in the pudding on that one. We resuscitated that program again this year, and our membership is headed in the right direction. We throw into that a mix of entertainment and sporting events. So we'll do that 4 or 5 times during the course of the year. We've gone to baseball games. We go to, we've got quite a bit of college sports around here, so we'll go to basketball games and do things like that on occasion. Some of the groups like to go to plays and productions of that kind. It's not my favorite thing, but they get together and do that and really enjoy it. So that combination of events during the course of a year really keeps something happening on almost a weekly basis within our club, creating an opportunity for club members and their guests to get together. The other thing, and to enjoy each other's fellowship. The other thing that's good about it, in my view, is that all of it is entirely flexible. Each one of these teams can do it the way they want to do it. Each one of the dinner groups can do it the way they want to do it. If they want to have more events, they can do it. If they want to do them all breakfast, they can do that. If they want to do all lunches, they can do that. If they want a mixture of it, they can do that. So, but the bottom line is that about once a week, we have an opportunity for our club members to get together, to interact, to see each other, and to enjoy each other's company, to bring guests, to entertain those guests, to help them understand what Rotary is about. And so far, it's working real well for us. So, Sherry, that's
Thank you so much, Bill. Bob, really appreciate your sharing that with us. I'm going to hold the chance for questions for Bob until after we hear from George, and then we'll open it up for some discussion about the ideas that we've heard. But Bob, I just love that you all use the word buddies. I think breakfast buddies, lunch buddies, dinner groups, just that connotation of buddies itself is working to build better friendships, and glad to hear the results in your club. So next we'll hear kind of completely different a look at a way to build better friendships, and that's in also using the flexible meeting schedule that Council on Legislation has allowed for us. So George, I'm hoping that you are there with us, and if you are, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Sherry.
And thank you for joining us.
Our flexible schedule, I want to start out with, we made a conscious decision that there were 4 what we call engagement events. So instead of having 4 meetings a month, we have 4 engagement events a month. And as the slide shows, we do 2 club meetings. The first Thursday, it's a program, so a presentation. The third Thursday is a planning session. It's like having a monthly club assembly, because we're working on the work we do outside of the Rotary meetings. We have 1 social each month, which has allowed for more family involvement. And we have at least one service project each month, with a minimum expectation then that people are involved in at a minimum of 2 engagement events each month. The reason we went to that, if you look at the Coppell Rotary Club 12-year history, we were stuck between 21 and 25 people. Over a 10-year period, our average was 23.5. And on July 1st of 2015, we only had 22 members. And we could not see a way out of this status quo. And we put together a team, a task force of 7 people. We had 3 past presidents. We had the next 2 presidents in line, so it did not include the current president. And then 2 of our most active Rotarians who had been recent winners of the Rotarian of the Year award in our club. So that task force of 7 people went at this from a very reaching out, grabbing advice from different people in the district. We also did searches for other clubs that had different kinds of scheduling and found a number of them around the world. And we patterned our flexible schedule after theirs. One thing that we've discovered is that with this 4 engagement events per month, it does require active and regular communications with the members. It's not something that simply, people can't get into a habit because the 2 meetings are happy hour meetings. The other ones are different dates, different times. So it really does require active, regular communications. Now, what has happened in the club is pretty significant in terms of membership. And I look back, and it was in 07-08 that we started quarterly dinner meetings. At the time, we were a 7 a.m. Monday Rotary Club, and some of our senior members said, you can't socialize at a breakfast meeting. So we set up the quarterly dinner meetings as a way to increase the fellowship opportunities. And that led us to becoming a pilot program when RI was doing a pilot on satellite clubs, and we volunteered, and we explored having a lunchtime meeting and a happy hour meeting. So we were focused more on socializing. We added the happy hour meeting time, and when we went through the flexible scheduling and realized that we could build in a social event every month and have our meetings at that happy hour period. When July 1st of 15, we had 22. We implemented it in January of 16. By that July, we were up to 27. The year from 16 to 17, we only went up +1, but we were also then working to separate at July 1st of 17. We took food out of our dues, so it's now dues only and then pay as you go for meetings and social events. And we now are at 33 members. We're inducting a new member on April 5th, which will get us up to 34, which is about a 45% increase from our 10-year average membership. And I just shake my head at this. We have 10 active prospective members in our pipeline that are attending meetings, coming to socials. We're getting them to meet more people in the club. So we have 10 more people who've already raised their head and said, I want to be a member of the Coppell Rotary Club. So it's been a pretty phenomenal explosion of growth. We meet at a place called Black Walnut. It's a chain restaurant. They do have a bar, and they order at the counter, and then when your order's ready, they have a buzzer that they buzz you with, and you go pick up your food. So it's become a totally different club. And I will tell you, we had a past president who was traveling 80% of the time, couldn't stay involved in the club, and he just retired. And the first thing he said he wanted to do was get back involved with the Rotary Club. Came to a couple of meetings and came up to me afterwards and said, George, would you help me recruit my wife? I think she'd really enjoy this. And she's not one of the 10 prospects in the pipeline.
So then really you have 11 prospects in the pipeline, George.
That's correct. We just haven't reached out to her yet to start that attraction process.
Well, I thank you very, very much for sharing this with us. And Bob, I thank you as well. I think we've heard two very different approaches to building better friendships. At this time, I'd like to open it for questions or comments that any of you have, or best practices from your own clubs that you'd like to share with the rest of the group. So you are muted, but if you raise your hand, we will, I'll recruit Kelly to help me unmute you so that you can speak. So just raise your hand or send a quick chat over if you're not in a position where you can use a microphone, and we'll read out your comments. You guys did such a great job that nobody has any questions. How about any other ideas to share with the rest of us? Because I know there's more than two clubs. I see a hand up. David Kimball. Kelly, I don't have control to unmute him. Can you help me? And not hearing from Kelly, I'm going to test if I can promote you to panelist and if that will work.
I'm looking for David Kimball right now on the line.
Okay, I found him and I've
Okay.
David, you're unmuted.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I'm president of the Billings Downtown Club, Billings, Montana. We're a club of about 160, so some of the things that work with smaller clubs and whatnot have to be kind of modified to work with larger ones. One thing we've been doing that's a social that works pretty well, particularly with a larger club where you tend to have members that don't know each other all that well. It's hard to get all that mixing. As we've started, we have about 6 or 7 of these a year. We call them Ignites. An Ignite meetup, it'll be at a local dinner club or a place where we can have social beverages. And 3 or 4 members will volunteer to come up with a 5-minute short, spectacular presentation of who they are and what they've done. And keeps it to 5 minutes, so 15 or 20 minutes. We do those, and the rest of the time is spent with socializing. And it's proved to be a very good way for people to get to know members a little better. So that's the thought I had. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Awesome idea. And one actually that can scale to a small club as well, because that's something a club can do. If you're smaller, you can actually do it at your club meeting. So I'm seeing another hand is up, and I'm trying to locate who that is.
Bob Dell. Oh, excuse me, Bob Delvan.
Yes, I have a question for George. George, would you give me some examples of some of the service projects you do? Are they new each time, or are they continuing service projects?
We have some of each. There's a MetroCrest Social Services that runs a food pantry, so we regularly help them out with the food pantry. We're also working with an elementary school from a socioeconomic disadvantaged area. We do coding camps during the school year and run summer camp there. And we've added the middle school that those kids go to. So those are recurring projects as the, and that's computer coding aimed primarily at girls to help them develop an interest in STEM curriculum. We also have a flag program, and our flag program is our only fundraiser. People lease flags, and that provides 6 months of service projects as well. We do 5 flag days, and then we do a maintenance of all of our flag zones in advance of Memorial Day. So we've got 6 service months covered through our flag program.
Thank you.
And then we just do other things, like there was a historic house that was moved to Old Town Coppell, and over the course of about 3 months, it was scraped, painted, repaired, and renovated. So that was an intensive amount of time, but it also attracted a lot of visitors who came and helped with that and learned more about the Coppell Rotary Club along the way.
Very good. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Okay, we've got a couple of minutes more for best practices, success stories you'd like to share, or questions that you have of our panelists. Kelly, I don't see any more hands up, so thank you, Bob and George, for excellent presentation. I think you both gave us lots of ideas to think about, and appreciate it very much. So Kelly, it's back to you.
I enjoyed both of your presentations, and I thought it was valuable for all of us, and thanks for taking the time to share that. And now we have an open mic. Anything that you guys want to share, and I'm just going to start it out by asking a question, and then anything that's on your mind, feel free to share it. Again, just put your hand up, raise your hand, and we'll call on you as we see those hands coming up. But did all of you that are on the call, because you're registered, you've previously registered, did you receive a notification this month that this call was happening tonight? I just want to verify that those emails are going out.
Yes, I received an email.
I did too.
Kelly, I received the email from you. I did not receive the automatic one from Zoom.
Did any of the rest of you not receive an automatic email from Zoom?
I did not, Kelly.
Okay. Okay, so that's what I needed to know, and we want to make sure that that's functioning. So, okay, what else is on your mind? So we're really pleased to have so many mindless people on the call tonight.
I'd be interested in knowing, Kelly, if any of the other clubs that are on the line here tonight do anything similar to lunch buddies or dinners for 8 or breakfast buddies, if any of them have programs like that.
Anyone have programs like what was talked about tonight? Just raise your hand if you've got one.
While we're waiting for hands to raise, Bob, this is Sherry. I'll address that a little bit. So I belong to a club of 450 individuals. As was pointed out a little while ago, when you have a big club, you can actually sit at a table with someone and wonder, are they a guest or are they a member? Because you just don't know everybody in the club. We don't have breakfast, lunch, or dinner buddies, but instead we have about 12 fellowships, bowling fellowship, opera fellowship, a symphony, book club. I don't know all of them by heart, but about 12 different fellowships, and that has been very, very helpful. In fact, I tried to recruit our president to be part of the panel tonight, and he said, I'd love to, except that it's bowling fellowship night, and he stands to win or lose the I don't know what, I don't bowl, so I don't know. Tonight is his night, that his team's either going to take the championship or not. That's how valuable the fellowships are to the individuals in our club. And it has been a way that you can see more and more people know one another because the shared interest brought them together in addition to Rotary. So it's not the fellowships that Rotary International offers, although many of our members are also members of those fellowships. And that's where the idea of having the smaller fellowships that are just our own clubs. And so that's just another idea. It works well in a medium to large club to have that kind of. Anybody else?
So Sherry, I guess in one of the clubs down south of here a little bit, we could have a catfish noodling club or fellowship.
You can have whatever fellowship you dream up because it's just your own club. So.
There we go.
So any other comments or thoughts we have for the open mic portion of our call tonight? Oh, there's one right there. So let's see who this is.
It's Hans Peter.
Okay.
I think I've almost got this unmute figured out, Kelly. So let me see if I can unmute him. Hans Peter, you're unmuted, I believe.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Northwest Austin Rotary Club, we have about 80 plus 80, between 85 and 90 members. And we do have a social, a little bit more active. We have a social every month now. The last one was past Thursday, and that was at the Oasis. It's the Oasis Texas Beer Brewery. It's a fantastic view over the lake, Lake Austin. And it was attended by about 30 people, I would say. Very leisure situation, good food, open bar. Everybody pays for their own consumption, though there's no cost. And I think it is very positive. You have a possibility to meet your members, especially the newer members, and on a personal basis, not just during a Rotary Club meeting. But I think that's very positive, and we keep doing it every month.
The question that you didn't address, though, Hans Peter, in your comments, was how's the beer?
Oh, the beer was very good. It's the local brewery until 6 o'clock, and of course I was there early. It was half price, so about $3. That's not too bad. And they have excellent snacks, and I thought it was just an excellent combination.
Great. Love to see Rotarians having fun together. So we've got just a few minutes more on this open mic portion of our call tonight. Any other thoughts on your mind or comments that any of you'd like to make? I'm going to give you just a few more minutes to come up with any questions you may have. Okay, Sherry, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I enjoyed that conversation very much. Appreciate it. As you all know, I'm a lover of quotations, and this one just was one that I thought fit our meeting tonight very, very well. You can't build anything with a flimsy foundation. Friendship is the foundation. So if we want to have a strong Rotary Club, friendship and building better friendships is so important, because it really is the foundation of our club. And from there, sky's the limit. And I appreciated the question asked of George about the service projects. There's some powerful service projects going on because you built a foundation in friendship in your club. So I think it's a powerful takeaway, and I appreciate that very much. Just before I finish, I want to give the opportunity to Julie. Julie, if you have any news or comments that you'd like to make, we would certainly appreciate anything that you would like to add.
Thanks so much. No, nothing to add. Just I was very interested to hear what clubs are doing as well, and I really love these opportunities for fellowship, because like you said, that's what keeps people in Rotary. That's what makes them feel committed, are not just the relationships that they bring, friends they already know, but the ones that they develop and continue to grow. So I'm so excited to hear about what clubs are doing and what's helping them not only sustain great members in their club, but also attract new ones. So thanks for letting me listen in.
Well, we thank you so much for joining us. I know you're probably still getting over jet lag, so you're probably wide awake at this point, or maybe you're just about ready for bed. I'm not sure.
I'm not even sure what country I'm in anymore.
Julie and I were both on the other side of the planet at the same time, although we were on different continents. So we both came back just about the same day. So we probably are in the same boat. I'd like to finish tonight by first of all thanking all of you for joining us, especially thanking our Assistant Rotary Coordinator team, which are here in their entirety with the exception of Diane Edwards. I would ask that you all keep Diane and her family in your prayers. Her husband is in the last stages of his time here on Earth, and I know that it's with a heavy heart that she's spending her time with him now, and that's why she's not here. But appreciate that all the rest of you are with us. And I'd like to share a story with you about friendships and my own personal recognition of what it meant to have a Rotary family. When I joined Rotary, I heard people talk about Rotary family, and I thought that was just some kind of a term that you used. I didn't really have any sense that Rotary was a family until a neighboring club lost a member, and that member was the last of his family. His wife and his children had passed away prior to his death. His brothers and sisters and obviously his parents were deceased, and he was a 93-plus-year-old member of their club. That's the kind of story where a person's last wishes are taken care of through whatever directive they left, and no one is there for any kind of memorial or burial because there's no family to put it together. And that's when I realized that I was wrong. There was a family that put it together. It was his Rotary family. And his Rotary family organized a beautiful memorial to him. A very well attended funeral, and I think every member of that club was present at the graveside when the burial occurred. That's what building a family is all about, and that's why it's so important that we each take the opportunity to build the friendships that form the family that make us all Rotarians. And with that, I thank you all for spending your time with us tonight. We look forward to having you join us in April for our next webinar, which will focus on public image beyond the newspaper and social media. And it will be presented by incoming Rotary Public Image Coordinator Linda Peterson from Zone 27. So we look forward to seeing you there, and thank you once again for spending your time with us this evening. Kelly, any last words from you?
I just want to remind each of you that these topics were put together during one of our calls, our webinar calls. And so these are the topics that we were provided by input that we received from each of you. And so those are the topics we're discussing and focusing on. And each of these topics are now on the Zone website in the membership section, so you can go out and look at them at any time if you want to publicize with your individual clubs in your various districts. So that's all, Sherry. Thank you.
So with that, thanks again, and we look forward to seeing y'all on the road ahead. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care.